Okay, so let's start with this idea. The line between human and machine. It's not just blurring anymore, is it? For many of us, it feels like it's practically gone.
Yeah, it really does.
You're talking about a kind of digital cyborgism, but not the sci-fi stuff.
Right, not like metal arms and laser eyes.
Exactly. It's happening in our everyday lives, and AI seems to be hitting the accelerator hard on this whole thing.
Oh, absolutely. It's pouring gasoline on the fire, you could say. And what's really fascinating, I think, is how our idea of what a cyborg even is has shifted.
How so?
Well, like you said, it's not the gleaming metal limbs anymore. It's more about this deep, increasingly seamless integration of tech into how we live.
Integration.
Yeah, yeah. AI isn't just making our gadgets smarter. It's embedding them so deeply into our routines, our thoughts, even, our feelings, that they're becoming these extensions of ourselves, almost indistinguishable sometimes. And it's happening fast. This isn't some slow creep. It's really rapid. It's an evolution happening right now.
So for this deep dive, that's our mission,
Right.
to kind of unpack how AI is doing this, how it's turning us into these, digital cyborgs.
Exactly.
We want to explore the impact, across different parts of life, thinking, moving, even feeling. We've gone through a ton of sources to pull out the really key insights for you.
Trying to give you that shortcut to understanding this massive shift.
Okay, let's start with thinking. We've always used devices to offload stuff, haven't we?
Sure, memory aids.
Like your phone storing contacts or using a GPS app instead of a map. They were sort of passive external memory banks.
Where you have to actively go to them.
But now AI seems to be changing these tools. They're not just storage anymore. They're becoming more like active thinking companions. Is that the right way to put it?
That's a really good way to think about it. It's a fundamental shift from passive retrieval to dynamic, almost anticipatory interactions.
Anticipatory? How?
Well, think about simple things first, like AI suggesting the next words while you're typing an email. Or, you can throw a really complex problem at something like ChatGPT and get back a coherent solution, or at least a starting point.
Yeah, that's true.
And then there are apps that analyze, the weather forecast in your calendar to suggest what you should wear. Or they recommend meals based on your health data.
Right, okay.
So what's really happening is we're outsourcing more than just memory. We're outsourcing bits of judgment, creativity, even emotional labor sometimes.
Emotional labor.
Yeah, think about AI helping draft sensitive emails or messages. And the key is the AI learns you. Your preferences, your moods, your patterns. It makes the interaction feel really personal, really responsive, not just a dumb tool anymore.
And it feels like this integration, it's not just about what we choose to offload, is it? It's how subtly AI is weaving itself into just the background of our lives, making tech feel less separate.
That's a really powerful point.
Yeah?
It's becoming part of the fabric. Look at voice assistants.
Always listening.
Always listening, always ready. They become almost like an ambient part of your environment, an extension of your will in a way. And wearables. They've gone way beyond just counting steps, haven't they?
Oh, yeah. Heart rate, sleep.
Exactly. Tracking complex health metrics, sometimes predicting potential illness, even nudging you towards behavior changes for, better well-being.
Like a little health coach on your wrist?
Sort of, yeah. And AI-powered apps trying to anticipate your needs before you even quite realize them yourself. So our smartphones, our smartwatches, they started as maybe prosthetics for communication or memory.
Right.
But now they're really AI-driven extensions of how we think and how we behave day to day. It's almost like an extra layer on our nervous system.
Oh, an extra layer. Okay, so if we're all getting these extra layers and we're constantly connected, it feels bigger than just individual enhancement. It brings up this idea of a networked mind, doesn't it?
It really does.
It's not just about having info 24/7, but being plugged into these realities that are filtered by AI.
And this is where it gets really deep, I think. Because the algorithms, they're not just passive gatekeepers showing you stuff, they're active shapers.
Shapers?
Yeah. They decide what news you see, what products you get shown. They subtly nudge the perspectives you encounter. Think about recommendation engines.
On streaming services or shopping sites.
Everywhere. They don't just suggest things based on what you liked before. They actively train your preferences over time. In news, art, food, even who you might date.
It's a bit unnerving.
It can be. And on a bigger scale, think about AI doing real-time language translation. It's amazing for breaking down barriers, right? But it also means our global conversations are increasingly mediated by these algorithms.
Creating a kind of global consciousness, but one shaped by code.
You could almost see it like that, maybe like a digital hive mind where thoughts, trends, emotions, they aren't just shared, they're actively shaped, amplified, and spread through these algorithmic currents. It really ties into that idea of the extended mind, you know? Our thinking isn't just in our heads anymore.
It's us plus the machine.
Us, plus the network, plus the AI. Yeah.
Okay, so our minds, our social lives, heavily influenced. But what about just moving around in the physical world? It seems like AI is directing our actual bodies more, too.
Absolutely. Our physical journeys are being guided. Think about just getting around day to day. Fully self-driving cars aren't quite mainstream everywhere yet, but...
Ride-sharing apps.
Exactly. They don't just connect you to a driver. The underlying AI is optimizing traffic flow for potentially whole cities. Your car's navigation system, those little alerts if your attention drifts, that's often AI working in the background.
Right. I guess I don't always think of that as AI.
And even simpler stuff. Deciding where to eat based on recommendations and reviews, knowing the exact best moment to leave for an appointment to miss traffic, these aren't just your decisions anymore, are they?
No, it's like a co-decision. Me plus the algorithm.
Precisely. You plus the algorithm. And we're even seeing it in smart homes, right? AI subtly tweaking lighting or climate based on where you are or what you usually do. Our physical spaces are becoming responsive.
This integration just keeps getting deeper. It's not just what we do or where we go, but you mentioned feelings earlier. AI is shaping our emotional lives, too.
It definitely seems to be. It raises this really fascinating, maybe slightly unsettling question. How much of our inner world, our emotional experience, is now being mediated or influenced by AI?
How does that work in practice?
Well, take mood tracking apps. They don't just log how you say you feel. Some try to interpret that, maybe suggest specific meditations or therapy exercises, or even nudge you towards certain behaviors.
Okay.
And then there's social media algorithms. We know they're often designed very carefully to trigger dopamine hits, to create that feedback loop that keeps you scrolling, keeps you engaged.
Yeah, the infinite scroll.
Exactly. And think about AI-generated content now. Viral memes, deepfake videos, personalized messages. This stuff drives real emotional engagement. It can even play a part in how people form their identities online.
And our brains just react to it, even if it's fake.
That seems to be the crucial point. Our brains often react to synthetic content, AI-generated stuff, with the same kind of emotional intensity as they do to, a real human conversation. Because fundamentally, we can't always tell the difference, especially at first glance.
Wow. Okay, so if everything we've talked about already feels like a huge step towards this digital cyborgism...
Yeah, it's already pretty integrated.
Then what's happening in the research labs now? That seems like the ultimate leap, doesn't it? Brain-computer interfaces, BCIs, like Neuralink.
Yes. Neuralink, that's definitely pushing the frontier. It's probably one of the most dramatic steps towards maybe true biological cyborgism.
Tell us more about that. Neuralink, founded by Elon Musk, right?
That's the one. They're developing this tiny implant, threads thinner than a human hair, designed to actually read and transmit brain signals wirelessly in real time.
And the goal is?
The goals are huge. Initially, things like allowing users to control computers or phones just by thinking, restoring movement or communication for people with severe neurological injuries, that's the near-term hope.
That sounds incredible for medicine.
Potentially transformative, but the longer-term vision is even bigger, creating a really high bandwidth direct interface between the human brain and, well, AI. And we saw those early tests reported in 2024, didn't we?
The patient controlling a computer cursor.
Yeah, someone with paralysis apparently able to control a cursor type, even play games just with their thoughts. Yeah. Wirelessly. It's almost hard to fully grasp the implications.
The long-term vision they paint.
Oh,
it's kind of mind-bending, isn't it? A seamless link between your brain and the internet. No phones, no screens needed.
Exactly. Imagine just thinking a question and getting the answer instantly downloaded into your mind. Or maybe even experiencing, I don't know, emotion-enhancing feedback directly through your neural pathways.
Like your brain literally becomes its own web browser.
Or more than that, potentially. This leads to the really ultimate idea, doesn't it? AI becoming like an intrinsic part of our internal thought process.
Making us biological hosts for AI.
That's one way to frame it. The sources often bring up that quote from Elon Musk about achieving a symbiosis with AI through a high-bandwidth interface.
Symbiosis. That sounds intense.
It is, and it raises huge questions, obviously. Is this kind of deep integration the ultimate human upgrade? A utopia? Or does it fundamentally change what it means to be human in ways we need to be really careful about? Depends on use, control. all the big questions.
It really feels like the pace has just exploded. What used to take decades of tech evolution seems to be happening in months now. We're really on a fast track.
No question about it. The acceleration is palpable. Just look at the things converging right now. Generative AI, ChatGPT, Midjourney, Sora. They're blurring the lines between human and machine creativity at lightning speed.
Things we couldn't even imagine a couple years ago.
Right. And BCI is pushing the limits of direct mental input-output. Plus, personalized AI companions, they're starting to show up everywhere. Therapy, education, productivity tools, even friendship simulators.
So AI isn't just a tool anymore.
It's becoming much more than that. It's morphing into a co-pilot for our lives, a mirror reflecting us back to ourselves, and yeah, in some ways, maybe even starting to substitute for certain kinds of human interaction.
The implications of all this,
Yeah.
they feel enormous.
Yeah.
For you listening, for all of us, really, for humanity.
Absolutely. And as AI gets tangled up even more deeply with how we think, how we communicate, potentially even our biology with things like BCIs, it leaves us with a really provocative thought to chew on, doesn't it?
Which is?
What does all this do to our basic definition of human consciousness, of individuality, as we choose to enhance ourselves, merging with this technology? What parts of ourselves are we choosing to amplify? And, maybe more importantly, what might we be risking? What could we lose in this process of becoming these truly integrated digital beings?